Okay, the first thing I'm going to say to you is don't panic. I just want to show you the different elements of a research project question. Uh, and this is showing you not only the question itself, but it's showing you the sort of research processes that you would go through and also connecting that to the research outcome, which is basically the way in which you report your findings. So I'm saying don't panic because you don't have to produce this, but it would be good if you kind of considered it when you're designing your question. So this person, as you can see in the highlighted bit, has decided to do something on the 30-year plan for Greater Adelaide. Now that's basically a plan that the SA government commissioned, and it's all to do with how the infrastructure of the state will develop in the future. So by infrastructure, we're talking about roads, railways, airports, hospitals, schools, housing, etc., etc. And some places have already been affected by it. So, for example, the extension of South Road that some of you might have been on, that's part of the 30-year plan. Also, in some areas where new estates are popping up, that's part of the 30-year plan. Building of new schools, all of that stuff. Some things have come to pass, some things have been opposed, and some things will happen in the future. So the question is, how will it affect the area that I live in? And some areas will be more affected than others. And the questioner has essentially said two things. To what extent and in what ways? So, to what extent requires you to make a judgment about how much the plan could affect the area you live in, and then in what ways requires you to go through the ways in which it could impact. So that means, possibly like around Gawler, there's going to be a link built from Potts Road through to just along by Cheek Avenue area, which will cut off having to go through Gawler. So, that's going to be a major impact for quite a few people, for example. Okay, now the research processes that you'd use for this thing, you'd obviously start off by analysing the 30-year plan itself and working out exactly how that plan could possibly impact upon your area. Now, because you've decided on your outcome, which is producing a short film documentary, because you're going to be playing to your strengths, if you are this person and you know how to make films and you really like the idea of making a documentary. Because you're producing a short film documentary, you will be doing a lot of interviews of local people, asking them their opinions. Do they know about it? What do they think about it? You'll also be interviewing experts, possibly the people who have planned this 30-year plan, some local councillors. You might even end up interviewing local MPs, for example. Who knows? And the whole approach in this question is one of using primary sources. In other words, sources that are direct from the horse's mouth, not books about something where somebody else has done the research. This is basically you just going out and seeing what people think about things. Now, you'll need to research short film documentaries. What do they look like? What are the features? What are the conventions? And you'll also have to be, very aware of the ethical considerations of filming people, because you've got to get their permission to film them, to put their name on the screen and to include all the footage and all of that sort of stuff. So that's pretty important. And you've also got to think about the capability that you are going to cover in your research project. And there's another film on this somewhere else. But, the personal and social capability probably covers this, because you are going to be looking at your community life. You're going to be building links with people on a local basis. You'll be developing empathy for people, certainly, because of, their opinions about what might be happening. You're establishing and maintaining relations in community life. So I reckon the personal and social capability fits fairly well. Okay, so in other words, this person has planned it out in terms of not just the question, but they've been looking at the research processes, they've been looking at what they're actually going to produce, and they're thinking about their capability as well. I'm not saying you have to do it. It might be something you want to consider maybe.